Um, so I'm looking at a piece that was at Bloomberg. The header is "The South, sickest part of a sick America, falls prey to virus." And the subhead is "A region beset by obesity and diabetes is uniquely vulnerable." Now, we've all heard, until we can't stand it anymore, that the people most susceptible to dying from this virus are people in my age group and down about 15 years, and people with underlying medical conditions. And by that they mean diabetes, heart disease, cancer, what else, Kathy? High blood pressure, the underlying conditions. What else?
Did you say diabetes?
Yeah, diabetes,
coronary artery disease.
artery disease, well, any kind of underlying medical condition makes us more vulnerable. And the two writers of this piece, Michelle Cortez and Margaret Newkirk, they start by saying there's a virus that is particularly lethal for people with underlying health conditions is now spreading into the unhealthiest part of the United States, the South. I might add that here in the South, they're the most religiously nut-fucked too, aren't they? For decades, people in the 11 states that seceded from the Civil War, America's poorest region, have suffered from a scourge of obesity and hypertension, which intensify the danger of the COVID-19 respiratory disease. 4 of the 5 states with the highest diabetes rates are in the South. It's because so many people down here are so overweight. And you've heard me make ad hominem attacks, which I shouldn't, but I do anyway, about fat asses. Just the other day I said something about that lard ass Mike Pompeo. I don't know where he's from. But what's with these overweight people? I mean, how many times do people have to be told, don't give me this bullshit about your glands and your big bones and all this other shit. Lose the fucking weight or you're going to die prematurely. I mean, it's so simple. Let me go on. And 8 states in the South did not expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act, leaving thousands of families without access to routine care, even as financially troubled rural hospitals wither away. If you don't have income with the patients who need medical care, the hospitals can't sustain under our present system. So 8 states in the Confederate South said, no, fuck no, we don't want the Affordable Care Act. No, fuck no. We don't want Medicaid expansion, you dumb bastards. And now it makes these people who live in those 8 states that much closer to dying. Isn't that great, huh? But you fuckers love Trump, don't you? I'm not talking to you. Those factors give the South a special vulnerability, as did the haphazard response from some governors as the disease began to course through the country. Without clear direction from the Trump administration, these governors were loath to mandate stay-at-home orders. Beaches were open in Florida, churches held services in rural Tennessee, and Mardi Gras went on in Louisiana. And look what happened in Louisiana. Now, COVID-19 has infected 47 long-term care centers in Georgia, overwhelmed hospitals in New Orleans, spread into at least 6 Alabama nursing homes, forced the evacuation of scores of elderly residents from a Tennessee rehabilitation center, and killed a country music star in Nashville. The South's white majorities have supported Republican presidential candidates for most of the past 40 years, and state parties in the South recently have marched in lockstep with Trump. As Trump slowly came to understand the severity, the gravity of this crisis, the region's 9 Republican governors here in the South started to mirror his response. These are not, the governors in the South, for the most part, are not people who can think. They're not people who can rationalize. They're not people who can look at evidence and say, well, based on the evidence, it's best if we do this. Even, what's her name, Kay Ivey? Is she the governor of Alabama? One of the dumbest fucking people I've ever seen. The governor of my state, Brian Kemp, who actually lost to Stacey Abrams. Had Brian Kemp, who was Secretary of State during the election, had he not removed 800,000 voters from the voting rolls in Georgia. And as a reason, because he was told, or somebody told him, or came to it himself, the ignorant fucker, that those people were going to vote for Stacey Abrams. And Abrams lost by what, Kathy? 1.5% of the vote?
She didn't lose.
Well, she didn't lose, but I mean, when the rape of Georgia's governor race was finished, and Brian Kemp, this ignorant white man who can't even you think Trump is stupid? They put something in front of Kemp to get him to read it, and every third word he mispronounces or stumbles over. He never looks at the camera. He doesn't look people in the eye. Only the Democratic governors of Louisiana and North Carolina have issued stay-at-home orders for their entire states up until Tuesday of this week, when Greg Abbott, that half-wit governor in Texas, told residents to remain behind closed doors except for essential errands. Ron DeSantis, Republican governor of Florida, did so yesterday, after resisting such a move for weeks, because DeSantis is another ignorant fucking white man who couldn't find his ass with both hands in a roadmap. Have you seen this guy on television? Look at all of these white governors. Listen to them. Oh, my God. The governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves, issued on Wednesday the stay-at-home order. And Brian Kemp, the dumb fuck that governs Georgia, did so today. But the disease is on the loose. You can lock people up till hell freezes over. The mayor of Albany in South Georgia. It's a pretty town. It really is. It's where Molly went a couple of months ago with her theater group. They had or was that last year? No, it was this year. They had a state competition in Albany of all the high school theater groups. And Molly's high school won. It's a lovely city. Bo Duro, the mayor of Albany, South Georgia, heard of his area's first COVID-19 case March 11th. By March 31st, the city had 73,000 cases. And the surrounding area had Georgia's highest concentration of patients and highest number of deaths. One of the fastest outbreaks in the United States. Mayor Doro said the other day, quote, "We're 3 weeks in and we already have 40 dead." That was 2 days ago. The disaster began with the February 29th funeral in Albany of a retired janitor. Second funeral the following week. Hundreds attended, and most patients who began flooding Albany's Putney Hospital had been at one or both of those funerals. The dead all had underlying conditions. That's according to Michael Fowler, the coroner of the county in which Albany sits, Dougherty County. More than half were diabetic. Others had hypertension or cancer, congestive heart failure. None of them, the coroner said, had nothing. None of them were in normal health. By the end of March, Dougherty County alone had 455 infections and a 5% death rate among those patients. Fulton County, home of Atlanta, with a population of more than 1 million, just the city, the metro area is 5.5 million. Atlanta, with a population of more than 1 million, had 547 cases and a death rate of less than 3%. The mayor of Albany said, quote, people really need to pay attention to this and how fast it spread and how many people died. And then as the virus raged, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, the dumb shit, ordered the medically fragile and nursing home residents to stay home, but he refused to include the state at large. He closed bars and nightclubs and banned gatherings of more than 10, but still, until today, hadn't set a blanket stay-at-home order. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey, whose state sits across the Chattahoochee River from Georgia, scoffed at a lockdown, even as the virus showed up in nursing homes. Back in March 26, according to Montgomery Advertiser newspaper, Governor Ivey said, y'all, we are not Louisiana. We are not New York State. I'm not going to order no stay at home. 4 days later, she released a video urging, but not ordering, people to stay at home. Back in Tennessee, Dr. Millstone, the pulmonologist, led a petition drive of physicians to persuade the Republican governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, to issue a stay-at-home mandate. Dr. Millstone got nowhere. Millstone said on television that only the death of a country music star would move the governor. So, last weekend, in quick succession, Tennessee lost honky-tonk singer Joe Diffie and witnessed the dramatic evacuation of a nursing home in Gallatin, about 30 miles from Nashville. That evacuation required a phalanx of ambulances from 3 counties, and the next day, 20 members of the State National Guard who tested those who were left behind. By Monday, just Monday past, more than 100 residents and staff had tested positive for the virus. And that day, Governor Lee recommended that Tennesseans shelter at home, but he would not order it. Leadership. These goddamn white Southern male, racist, Christian fuckwad governors, I know what it is for the most part. It's leaving it in Jesus' hands. We've got white male preachers here in the South, these dumb fuckers who still are keeping their churches open and inviting in 500, 700,000 people. Come on in, let's praise Jesus and fucking die. Then you'll get to see Jesus real quick. So come on, they believe. Come on to church. Come on, we're going to fellowship. We're going to lay hands on one another. We're going to shake hands. Welcome to the sanctuary, brother. Welcome, sister. And then we're going to get sick and we're going to fucking die. Then we'll all go see Jesus. It's insane. Hey, Truth Seekers, Mike Malloy here. While you're sheltering in place and practicing safe social behavior, probably catching up on the Malloy cast, remember, we have a new weekly program just for our patron supporters. There are other thank you gifts for your support. Remember, visit MikeMalloy.com and click on the big patron link on the main page. You can't miss it, and we can't do without you.